You might have been stuck with an issue like this where, let me just open up a new dialog, and the lovely new feature inside of the Affinity range. If you go to Pixel, there's background removal here. That feature. Of course, anything that you see with a crown here means that you need to be subscribed to Canva AI, which is the paid version, Canva Pro, because that's where it links the program to all the AI, the generative stuff and all that sort of stuff. So that's the back-end engine. And it makes sense that way. If you just going for all your Affinity Studio stuff, then you don't need to get the Pro version. But you know, for like 800-900 South African rands a year, it is really worth it to get hold of that. So if you don't see the Canva AI button here, then you can just go to these three dots. You can see a Canva AI. It might be flipped off. You can just flip that one back on, click off there, and there you have it available. But before we get to use, I just want to show you the dilemma that one can find yourself in. And I'm going to go and open an image, and this is just going to be a straight image. I'm not going to place it on this document. I'm just going to open it totally on its own. Okay, so this image is opening up in a document on its own, and it's treated as its own picture. Okay. Yeah, this happens to be my wife, so I think I would have permission to work with her. In this case, use her photo. So let's just look here. If I look at this image here, my layers are here on the left. Take this, and then I come here to this button here. It says remove background, or if I come here, it will have remove background. Now this button basically appears here by default. If you're on Canva AI, if you're on, for example, Vector, you don't see that here. You could bring that button across if you choose to, but just by default AI, you'll see it over here. So you bring an image, you just bring the image and you want to work alone on the image, you come and you click remove background, and boom, there it goes, remove background. I've been waiting for this feature like forever, but understandably they need to have an online link to the AI model, etc., etc. That Canva's integrated into the process. You get Affinity Studio totally for free, of course, but the AI features now, if you want to use them, Canva Pro is what you've got to subscribe to. Otherwise, you can get the free version and just, you know, have access to the Affinity forever, for life, for everybody to use. Okay, there we see beautiful. It's removed the background, so that works perfectly. So you can get excited about that and go like, okay, so I want to use this photo now on another document. So let me actually just close that window so that I don't overstress my processor in the process. Okay, so we're going to go to Canva AI, and I'm going to go get the very same photo, but I'm not going to open it as a single photo. I'm going to just get it here, and I'm going to use the place document. So I'm going to place it in here, and I've generated an image here already, but I'm going to just delete that, and I'm going to just generate a brand new one. I'll do a tutorial on all these menu items in the Canva AI sometime a bit later. I just want to deal with this at the moment. So I'm going to generate an image, and it says a lady wearing a dress. I shouldn't say wedding dress, just say a normal dress, and head view. So I'm going to generate that. So remember the first image that I showed you, I just opened the image into Affinity Studio and selected on the area, and I could use the remove background button, and it worked perfectly. Now I'm taking the very same image, I'm placing it on this document, and I'm also generating an image, an AI image, and I'm going to put it, drag it onto this document also, and just show you the dilemma one sits with. Okay, this girl is looking towards the background, but that's fine. So I get to this, I click this button, and I go to remove background, and nothing seems to be working. Now I come to this, should work because I use this as an example. Just now come here, click, and nothing's also happening. And the reason for that is that each image that you bring in to Affinity Studio has a container in it. Like even if you're taking a video file like a MP4 or .mov or any format, it's actually a container that has formats inside it that operates in different ways. So your background removal cannot work on certain types of containers in Affinity. And you might not know about that. So let me just share with you why it cannot. So if you go to this photo that's been placed here, we go over to the layers. My layers has been always on the left. I move it there. That's my preference. But if we move here to this layer here, if I hover over the type of photo thing this is, image it is, it says it's an image. So it's an image container, okay? If I move to the next one, it's saying it's generated image. Although it's telling me a generated image, it's a container for generated images, okay? So what was the difference between the other photo and these photos? The other photo was a pixel image. So if I open an image on its own, it is a pixel image. It takes on that format. If I place it, it comes in as an image, and this one is generated as an image. Okay, so maybe I should just show you quickly if I open that on its own, same image. So it's going to open it up in another tab, and we're going to look at its label over there and see what it is. If you look here, if I hover here, it says pixel. So the key here is if you open up an image, it automatically defaults to pixel. Okay, if you place it or you generate it, they have different containers. So how do we get them to change them to pixel? Basically, we'll go select here, you go to the layer, you can right click, and you can go down to rasterize. Then just look here, it goes from, if I hover there, let me just see here, if I hover over there, it says image. If I right click and I rasterize, look what happens here, it changes to pixel. And this one, exactly the same I can do, but I'll show you, even if you select it on the art or the document you're working, if you right click, you can also get to rasterize. So you don't use rasterize and throw them to mask, just rasterize would be sufficient. If I click here, look what happens there. It changes to pixel. And once we have it there, it's easy. You can just select the image, remove background, and it will start processing. Isn't that cool? So don't get too frustrated when you bring in images and the background doesn't work. There's nothing wrong with the background tool. It's the format of the image that is important. Okay, I'm going to do that one and just do this one, and then we'll see how that goes. There's it, background removed. Same here, go, and there it will work. Okay, remember, pixel layers, you can remove backgrounds. Any other container, you must just make sure. It might work with some other strange containers that you bring in here, but the ones that I use the most would be the AI generated or some document that's placed. Okay, so you see there, now the transparency all works. So hopefully that helps you and gets you less frustrated when you're busy doing background removals. I think it's a brilliant tool that they introduced, and I only now realize that the reason why it was delayed was because they needed a link into the cloud, and Canva AI, the Pro version, has given it that ability. Hence, you can bring it in as a feature. There are a few of the AI features that are small files that you download and run it in Affinity Studio, but they quite processor intensive. But we'll chat about that at a later time. So have a fantastic day, be blessed, and keep removing the backgrounds. Shalom.